All right, here we go. We are set, I think. Oh, don't you dare give me that look. Oh, God, no. We just started talking. Howdy, Xavier. One sec, chat. Okay, there. Are you happy? Don't give me that look. Just go. Oh my God, what are you doing? Whatever. Whatever. Not my business. I wonder what the dynasty used to have flowing through those channels. I wonder the same thing now. I wonder the same thing. Oh, now you're just gonna go back to bed, are you? Oh, you are. Oh, you are truly an irrational being, puppy. Don't you dare give me that look. Truly. But yeah, I look at this and I wonder, like, is this supposed to just be like negative space? Like, you know, there was just stone here and there just happens to be some space between them. Or was there like actual like water pumping and flowing happening here, right? Which would in itself be interesting, not only because obviously this is a place with all the rivers, right? And you can almost get this sense of maybe this could represent the two rivers, or at least just the general idea of water flow. And then you have the statues, of course, here, which we, of course, see these statues in places where the rivers flow, generally speaking, right? I think the only one that really doesn't have any around there, let's go over here. I think it's like there's the yeah, actually, no, the statue here, the river is flowing through here, one of the channels. So yeah, the statues generally come where the water's flowing, yeah. Probably has something to do with what used to be. Sorry, I'm confused a bit. Probably had something to do with what used to be where this pelvis is. Yeah, the pelvis obviously is just taken from a giant because, well, giants live here and stuff like that. So that just makes sense to me. It's like, oh yeah, giants are probably buried in the ground here, so they just probably like dug one of those out and said, "Here you go, Michelup." But yeah, this is clearly some kind of like shrine area. So, I mean, they could have just put another statue here. It could be something as simple as that, but it could be something more important. I could see it as being a place for their god. We don't know what oracles they received, right? Were they oracles from the greater will or from an outer god? Could it be one of the fairies? Or maybe like, because we don't know exactly what the fairies are. What if the fairies are just aspects to a larger... Wait, 1 second. Sorry about that. She was about to chew something up, and I had to make sure to stop her. You cannot chew things like that, you doggo. That's not how any of this works. Also, 1 second. Oh my gosh. It's a mission with her. All right. It's funny that Moog just took some sacred thing and just threw it out. Hey, you never know. Maybe, you know, someone else had took it before him and he just saw, hey, empty pedestal. Perfect place for my new god. Though, oh my God, just the image of Moog seeing a statue and he just like kind of just throws it to the side. And then puts the cocoon. Oh man, that goddamn that image. It's so funny in my head. Also seem to flow toward the graves. Yeah, they also have them like going to the side and then they just kind of go under, which is why I'm not 100% sure if this is intentional or not. Okay, good. Doggo's not doing. What are you doing, dog? All right. Okay, there we go. Sorry. I gotta drag you a little closer to me, clearly. Like, see, it also goes here and stuff like that, so it does make me wonder if it's just supposed to be like, oh no, these are just like, I don't know, like space, kind of like this here. Like the stonework isn't like so perfectly aligned, right? But I don't know, it feels a little deliberate. Maybe I'm crazy, but that's what it feels like. Oh my god, Nox lovers all the way. It is funny seeing like all the ancient dynasty like stonework, and then you just got like Nox metal lever. Like, did the Nox come here and be like, listen, we got to show you how to make these lifts proper. You make them like this. Oh, this, we don't care about like all your like ancient ass columns, but we ain't seeing this like primitive lift technology here. We're giving you the good stuff. I'm pretty sure this is like a somber smithing stone or something, like for Placky. Maybe just to fill out the room. They're like, yeah, this room doesn't look fancy enough. You know what we need? We need some little spaces between the stonework. There we go. Now it looks right. But like, we don't really see it anywhere. Oh my god. What are you? What is wrong, doggo? What? Oh. There, she got what she wanted. See, you can go out and do whatever you want. Goodness me. Oh my god. Really? 1 second. I will even compromise with you, dog. Just, Sunny, here. All right. Yes. Now lay down. Down. Good. Okay. Good. There we go. All right. Let's see if maybe I can try to pacify her if I have her at my feet. I don't think this is gonna work out very well, Chet, but we'll try. We'll try to save the stream. Ow. Oh my god, and she's getting a little bitey now. Oh my god, you little nipper. What I have to put up with. Oh god, she's... Don't mess with the wires! Oh. She tried to pick up the controller, did she? Oh my god. Disaster. Absolute disaster. Yeah. I might have to put her in the kennel, chat. She's acting up. She's acting up. God, we had so much exercise today and you still want more. It's crazy. Yeah, nothing special about these guys. They're the same as the others. And like the Knight of the Black... Oh, sorry, Knight of the Black... Like the Black Knife Assassins, they have no face. Which I'm going to assume for both enemies is just for the sake of having that effect of, like, you know, shadowy hooded look to it. And they're not actually headless / invisible faced. Right, like... Especially in this darkness, you're not going to see it. But I think even in some of the brighter areas, like, you're just not going to... What's a good place to look? Rose Church, yeah? Yes. There we go. Always got to get myself turned around here. All right. So you appear. Right. Yeah. Like, you're never going to be able to notice It's just gonna look like a shadowy black void from in normal gameplay. Ow, oh, doggo, no biting the toes. I need those. Ow. No. There we go. That's something I'm going to be having to spend the next few years working on, is getting her to stop biting and nipping and stuff like that. Like, you gotta respect the pain that I feel whenever you do something like that, doggo. I don't care how into the game or frustrated you are. I don't even mind if she like goes for the bite. I just wish she would do it like Rusty, where it was like, you know, just like you go for it, but then immediately turns it into a lick. Like it's like, oh, like you have like the instinct of like, oh, I gotta go for it, and then you're like, oh wait, no, and then just immediately goes for the lick. Like you can't even bite it. Bite the toes. No, I need my toes. They're like my spare hands. They're all the things I do, all the things with my toes that I can't do with my fingers because they're busy doing other things like typing. You can't do this to me. I only got 4 limbs. I can't afford to have any less. Yeah, and there's nothing else over here, so we got that. We have the doctor there, we have that there. I don't care about that. Okay, so I did slap together very quickly the Moog stuff. Just so I'd be like, you know what, let's have all demigods at least in outline form. And after giving it some thought, I was like, oh, I am wondering now, because it seems like timeline-wise, Moog is already brainwashed by Miquella by the time that the Tarnish show up, and Moog does recruit Tarnish. Now, it's hard to say if like the goal is only to recruit, because there's the whole abducting all the doctors, like Vare and stuff like that. So I do question if the intent was to create, you know, Bloody Fingers or not, or if there was some other goal and the Bloody Finger stuff is incidental, because there's also the thing with Okina where like Okina seems to confront Moog, but again, it's possible that Moog was kidnapping Okina for other purposes than Okina being badass old man, you know, freed himself from his captors and went on the bloody offensive, and then Moog was like, oh, I am impressed. How about you become one of my people? Right? This is the part where I'm a little hazy on what exactly Moog's plan was after getting brainwashed by Miquella. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, at least the Esker stuff, where he's like going with Moog, or rather, sorry, going to the Omen and doing like the conversion thing there. Do we have this here so you guys can see it? Yeah, we do. Okay, cool. What was his name? Yeah, it's Esker, right? Esker. Doggo, please. I'm just doing this to Delight, I think would be where, yeah, I had it under Ritual. Rule of Blood's Delight. Yeah, offer blood to the ruler of blood, fill my lord's bedroom, his cocoon, and when my very young spouse awakens, our dynasty will begin. So this is the thing. Offer blood to the ruler of blood, fill my lord's bedroom, his cocoon, and when my very young spouse awakens, our dynasty will begin. So my impression I'm getting of this, and the statement in the DLC that Miquella was using Moog to get to the realm of shadow, my understanding is that Miquella was specifically using Moog's blood, his Omen blood, because it's blood effectively that's, you know, tied to the spirits of the Hornsent who come from the realm of shadow, obviously. And effectively, Miquella was using Moog's blood as a way for him to trace the spirits, which he seems to have a very close affinity with through dreams and stuff like that, to the realm of shadow, at which point we see him, of course, enter, and then he summons Torrent, and, you know, the rest is history. So it seems like Moog's blood would be the one he would need to use. So, and that again, because considering we get that talisman there from the guy that's like trying to like recruit Omen and is having them like cut off their horns and stuff to bleed. It seems like specifically he's trying to get more Omen blood for Moog, right? I don't think that's supposed to be addressed to the player. I think it's supposed to be addressed in the context of the boss we find it with. Wait, it says very young spouse. Yes. So the terminology used, I translated as young versus very young. We were having a similar question with Night Scout yesterday or the other day. Yeah, well, it wasn't yesterday. Right. But same thing is that like there are times where like there's a term where it's like, okay, it's just generally young. And generally, it seems to usually be used like it's vague enough, but like usually it seems to be used when they're just like, you know, a little older. And then there's another terminology that I like to translate as very young, because that one's the one that's generally used for like, you know, like people more closer into like the child to potentially even baby range. So, yeah. So with Miquella, I'm pretty sure in every instance he's always referred to as very young. Like he's always got that adjective attached to him, essentially. Right. This can get very confusing because sometimes they're clearly talking about him when he was like actually like, you know, like baby Miquella was actually baby Miquella, right? And other times it's clearly just being like, yeah, well, he's always a baby. He's always Babu. And that's always been a separate problem. All right. Let's go here. Actually, no. We don't need to go to the church. Let's go. Oh, where is it? Right. Oh, wait, it's up here, right? Of course, duh. It's up here? No, that's East Capital. That's Forsaken Depths. Have I not been there in this character? I guess I haven't. Huh. The more you know. Yeah. Also, I noticed that Miquella's wearing his ring on his right hand wedding finger, which tends to be used for, at least in Japan, it tends to be used for unmarried lovers. So I assume that's supposed to be something Moog gave him. I don't really see anything particular about the design, but maybe there's a similar ring used elsewhere and there's like a parallelism, like maybe like Marika wears a ring like that or something. I don't know. But like, I just kind of thought about that. I'm like, okay, so looks like Moog's like, you know, going all in on the marriage thing. Oh, God. I don't think this is gonna work, but I'll try. No, I tried. I tried. I tried. I most certainly tried. But yeah, like we've got a lot of stuff here. I always try to make notes of like, you know, anything I think might be relevant or something, you know, whether there's like puns or certain things with like religious significance and stuff. Oh, this was something separate. I was just kind of tacking on there at the end because I was very curious. Yeah, the stuff. I'm very curious about the Crystal Tear stuff with Eleonora, because it almost makes me think like, oh, does Eleonora not actually support Moog? Is there like a set like a dual agenda there, or maybe she's suspicious, or she's just like, you know, trying to be safe, or is it like completely incidental? Like why is she at the Second Church of Marika would be the question, right? Like, why is that a thing? Yeah, I'm not sure of any of this. He's wearing the ring in the memory scene, I think. Oh, okay, good to know. So that would then confirm it would be predating Moog and stuff. Okay, cool. So it might just be like generic, like Erdtree type ring thing. Oh my god. Oh my god, that would be very interesting if it was supposed to be like a Radon thing. It's like, oh yeah, this is me and like boyfriend. We're gonna get married in the future. It's like he doesn't know yet. Actually, no, Miquella would be like, oh, he promised me, you know, and like Radon's like, oh wait, a promise? What? Oh, I think I told a kid that once. He's a sweet little guy. I think he's going places. Okay, now this is how you do it, yeah. God, it's been so long since I've actually scaled this place legitimately. Hello, friend. Okay, there we go. There we are. So I'm pretty sure this is where the boss is, right? Yeah, it is. Okay, cool. Cool, cool, cool. There we are. Sonny, I don't like you being under the chair like that. You know, Rusty sometimes did that too, but Rusty would sometimes get burned for it. Like you're little Babu. You don't realize the risks you're taking. Might be to represent the promise. Yeah, that would definitely make sense. And it could be that Moog, as at least in the Moog cutscene, it's being recontextualized to be like, look at our relationship, because Moog is obviously delusional because of the brainwashing. Yeah, so from what I understand, it seems like, okay, Moog, he definitely kidnapped Miquella, probably not because of brainwashing, probably just did it on his own, because I cannot square the way Miquella would go about it if he intended to get kidnapped the way he did. I really think it was kind of like ancillary, and he's like, oh, okay, like this could be convenient because I can learn more about like Mother and stuff, because, you know, I got some questions about stuff. And that was a way for him to get into the realm of shadow by essentially what's the word, like essentially like piggybacking off of Omen blood. Oop. Yeah, I don't think we need anything like that. This hood is so awkward. Like seeing like, oh yeah, it's just kind of like floating around the head there. Like it looks cool from here, but like you see it inside and you're like, okay. I can't tell what, is that supposed to be a specific I guess it has to be, right? Because all of them have to be one or the other, right? But like I don't know which I'm not sure which would this would be in terms of the catalysts. I think the most logical for me would probably be Erdtree, like Erdtree seal, because like that's the most like generic one, right? The pyramid head hood, yeah. He's got eyes too. There we go. All right, something like this. Perfect. Okay, cool. Yeah, probably Erdtree. Yeah, that would make the most sense to me in this specific context. There we go. And then, yes, what is it, Sunny? Come on, Sunny. Oh my god, girly pop, why are you such a princess? Why are you like this? In some ways she's mellowed out, chat, and some ways she's gotten even more obnoxious. It's, oh god. Oh my, sorry chat, I gotta go back. There we go. I'm like, no, it is late. It is no more. You have done all your business. Yeah, get on your belly. I just like I just picked her up and put her back in her bed. Yeah, I think that's all we want for poses here. I think I got all the stuff I really. Are they always? Like, do they not have shoes? Or is he just not wearing them normally? And we know how this stuff looks. We've already taken all the shots for this place up here, right? So I'm pretty sure we're good over here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're good over here. There we go. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Yeah, sorry, chat. Gotta now multitask. There's you, there's the game, and there's the dog who wants pets. God, she's so adorable, though. Like, you could be such a cute little thing. Why are you a little monster? Why? Okay, so all of that there, that can be explained now by just Mohg needing Omen blood to give to Miquella, and Miquella brainwashing Mohg for the purposes of the Omen blood. Now, my question then has to be, are you chewing on your own foot? Okay, no, you're just... God, what are you, a coyote? So my question really has to be like with Ansbach and what like Ansbach intention was. Like, why did he... Like, one, how did he know about Mohg's charming? I guess because of the cocoon thing? He's like, I guess that has to be what it was, right? Like, oh, I have to do this thing for Miquella. And like, obviously, Miquella wanting to go into a cocoon so he can sleep or whatever before they can do their dynasty thing. That was probably not what the plan was. The plan was probably we kidnap Miquella and then we immediately start this dynasty thing. So theoretically, in like Mohg, if Mohg's plan worked, it would have basically been like, while the two bozos were killing each other in the Shattering, right? Radahn and Melania. Mohg would take Miquella, make him his god, and then immediately start the new dynasty right then and there at the end of the Shattering and take it. I guess the idea would be that he would be able to reason or make a case to Morgott. I guess that's honestly the real question, is like how much Morgott was willing to cooperate and stuff. Because the Omen... Let's go back to the pagan. Let's go back to the pagan quarter for a second, chat. I have a question. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is there a magic barrier blocking our way to the pagan corridor before we kill Morgott? Kind of like how we have a barrier to what's it called? Oh god, what's the name? The barrier to I guess Forsaken Deaths, whatever you want to call it, you know, where the Three Fingers is, right? Three Fingers prison. So I vaguely recall there being like a barrier here. But now I feel like I might be gaslighting myself and being like, oh yeah, there was totally a barrier there. I'm like, oh wait, was there? Like, did that actually exist? It seems other nobles would have revolted with him given all the hanged nobles around the lake. Yeah, this is the thing with Ansbach though, is that he may have acted on his own, because he makes a big deal about, like, obviously they make a big deal about how he's kind of crazy, like he was kind of a crazy soldier, right? Like he acts like he's just some, like, you know, oh, I'm a simple old timer way past my prime, but like he's supposed to just be like a crazy good fighter and just overall kind of reckless. So like he's the type of guy that, like, you know, will just kind of be like, I've decided on this, I'm gonna do it. So it very could be possible that he saw what was happening with Mohg and then kind of like acted on the spot. There wasn't a like, okay, we got to start planning like a revolt. Granted, what I think might have happened is that as like Mohg's dynasty gets delayed and, like, you know, all the negative aspects of this whole blood thing keeps going, I get the feeling as if Mohg probably was just losing people anyway. And like that just kind of culminated in like what we see now. What he's getting as well were the Albinaurics. We shouldn't forget that while all this is happening, Albinaurics are also coming in. Now, I guess the question would be, were the Albinaurics coming before or after Yeah, were the Albinaurics coming before or after the shattering? Because we know for sure that like a bunch of them leave during the Liurnian Civil War. I guess the real question would be like, was Loretta actually involved in the Liurnian Civil War when it came to Carian's defenses? Or did she just basically leave some of her magic, like that magic proxy, that could activate the defenses on her behalf while she had already departed? So like before the shattering had even ended, Loretta was already gone from Caria Manor. I guess that's what would be my question, is like, at what point did was Loretta no longer needed? Because if she's needed to actually activate the defense mechanism, then okay, that's a different story. But if she isn't, then that gives us a lot of room to say, like, to push back her and like the migrations and stuff to a lot earlier. And it would be definitely before Miquella got abducted. There's also the fact that we see all the cocoons, and the cocoons at least look like they're first generation Albinaurics. So like, assuming that they are, I want to imagine that the cocoons couldn't happen without Miquella there, because he's like, you know, the prime cocoon guy. And I'm pretty sure based on the art we see, he was also in a cocoon at the Halig tree, right? It wasn't like he was in the tree, like, directly. Like, he was, like, in a cocoon that was, like, embedded in the tree and connected and all that jazz. That's at least how it looked to me based on the art. The barrier is either at the elevator or past it, but there is one. Okay, so there's definitely Morgott stopping us getting to the Divine Tower / the Forbidden Lands with the... Obviously, his concern probably is more so the Forbidden Lands and stuff, but okay, it does exist. Yeah, the Divine Tower, I've been thinking about it because we had that talk about how the demigods are forsaken by the greater will. What does that mean exactly? It has to be something that's known to the Two Fingers, because they're the ones who are like, oh, I see the greater will has forsaken them, and now the Tarnished are the thing. And of course, there's the questions of how much were the Tarnished coming orchestrated by the Greater Will versus Marika. So I'm thinking what the Greater Will may have done is had the Two Fingers take the blessings of the Great Runes. Because what we see is you have the dead fingers in each of the towers. You have the Great Runes with those dead fingers. And it's purely, as far as we see, it's purely for... the benediction. It does not stop us from retrieving it ourselves, of course. Like, it feels like that's probably it, because we know that at least with like Radahn and stuff, we see like, you know, his Great Rune seems to have activated in the middle of all that stuff, but then the rest of them seem to just not have it. So yeah, that's the only thing I can really think of. Is that the Greater Will basically is responsible for taking away the benedictions of their Great Runes, which is why we have to go and collect them and stuff. Now, I guess my question is it possible to collect them from the towers before we collect the actual Great Runes? I don't remember ever doing that in the game, but I imagine that it would be possible. I don't think the game would stop you. What are you chewing on? What, 1 second. Okay, it's just part of the toy. Yeah, just don't chew it all up, okay? Being convinced to join because he has Miquella. Oh yeah, Morgott could get brainwashed theoretically, couldn't he? Yeah. That's another problem. Like. Yeah, that's another problem, is the whole brainwashing thing. Because, like, why not brainwash Morgott? Like, I feel like you could have brainwashed Morgott and saved yourself a lot of trouble if that was always an option, right? Like, the only thing I can think of is that, one, he doesn't bother doing it with Morgott because he doesn't actually care and he doesn't need to. That, or he feels there's a limit to his brainwashing and he can't just, like, brainwash every single demigod in front of him. But we also have to consider that, like, he had the benefit with Mohg where, like, Mohg, like, comes and just kind of picks him up. and takes him away, so he has time to be with Moog and cast the charming spell as Moog is trying to bring him over, right? So like there's a way for him to like, you know, do his magic thing without having to like worry about a fight or anything. Like he could be subtle about it there, versus like in our boss fight where like, you know, he has to like outright try to, you know, get us. Oh, you're talking about the Albinaurics joining Moog. Oh, okay. Could Miquella affect whether the Albinaurics join or not? I guess they could. I guess it just depends on if they know or not. Because at least the way we see it, there's those who go over to become like, you know, they go through the trial of the snowfield and become, you know, Miquella, like, you know, Miquella's defenders, I guess would be the word. And then you have oh, what the hell? What are you doing, doggo? Where'd you get this? Oh no. Oh no. Sorry, chat. Her bed unzipped. I gotta fix that. Ah! She is a wizard when it comes to zippers. It's actually kind of scary. Oh, so back to the conversation. Oh my god, yes. I know. Anyway, back to the conversation. So I feel like part of me is like, yeah, I can see it. I can see the idea being like, oh, we were gonna go with Miquella, but Miquella's now with you, so I guess we'll go with you. The problem is I don't know if they know about that when they're joining. So I could see it as them just being interested in the blood stuff. And another reason I think that is because when we go to the Rose Church, we see a similar thing with the Albinaurics there. And we already see that they're already interested. Like they have this like, you know, casual, you know, curiosity as outsiders to what's going on at this church. So the game is already planting the seed in our heads about the idea of like the Albinaurics potentially wanting to become part of Moog's crew. So I just don't know if like Miquella could be anything more than like a bonus to them when it came to that type of assessment. Hey, I am. There's the Albinauric at the gate to Mogwin. Yeah, there's another one there too, yeah. There's also a spirit around there, as I recall. Correct me if I'm wrong, but... Oh my god. Doggo, stop it. Stop it. You are going to be a pain this entire stream, aren't you? Oh my god, and then you roll on your back like, thinking like, I'm cute, it's okay. You just pet me and everything will be fine. It's okay. You think that, don't you? Obviously we have the blood dogs and stuff, and we get the noble who invades us. God, there's so many dogs here, I didn't realize. I don't know if I'm going too far or not. I think I am. Also, normal ass goats. I forgot you could have sheep here. Also, why aren't they white sheep? I'm just saying, Miyazaki. You guys got lazy. You can't give me snow-covered sheep? Huh. So I have to be nearby. Oh. I didn't even see you. I want to get a shot of both of you then. Oh my god. Ah my god. Sorry, I'm trying to do with the camera while combating the nippy dog. Oh, why does everything have to be a struggle with yous? Yeah, you're over here. You know, these guys are actually kind of far away. Yeah, if only I didn't have these marks. Your dog thinks cuteness is justice. She does. She also thinks nipping is justice. Like, holy hell. Like, you don't understand the epic tale that is happening right here between my feet and this animal. Like, goodness me. I'm never going to be skipping foot day with leg day with her. Foot day. I'm sure that's something too, but I'm never going to be skipping leg day with her. Every day is leg day. All right, there we go. Oh my god. Oh my god. One invader after the other. All right. Oh my god, no. Stop it. No. Stop it. Okay, there we go. There we are. All right. So over here... Yeah, it's amazing how they put those a bit far away. So you got our friend here. It's not immediately active either. So yeah, we got like one guy here, and he's the Mikola type, so he's already converted. Okay, so this guy's a convert. This guy's a convert that found his way. Are they converts down in Mogwin though? Oh my god, you're still here. No. Sonny, I don't want to put you in the kennel, but if you're going to continue misbehaving like that, we just can't have that, okay? Not tonight, okay? She's doing the cute pose again. All right. Not gonna do anything with you if you're gonna be that way, okay? All right, we're finally out of here. Good. Okay. Ah, there you go. There we go. Oh, these guys are normal. Okay. So they bring him back to normal. They're back to being black-eyed. Okay. Okay. All right, 1 second. All right, sorry, Chet. Tried to cooperate with her, but she did not want to cooperate with me, so she's in the kennel now. Ay. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. I did not want to do this to you, Sonny, but you decided you had to be a prisoner. Which is a shame, because she actually likes her kennel. Like, she finds it comfy with the little bedding we gave her and stuff. Let's see now. Nothing else really. Yeah, everything else is pretty standard here. Nothing else really related to Mikola or something. It's just these guys. Then we got our blood with little horns. All right, so Moog seems to mix a bit of his blood with people and make him more omen-y. He also himself seems to be kind of a blood fiend, as the DLCs define them, right? He's gone through a similar transformation, so he looks the least omen-like of all the omen we meet, right? Much more like a little devil, that's for sure. So let's we got the white flowers still here. We got, of course, these ancient trees and stuff, and some of the newer trees. Do we see this grass around other ancient trees? I don't remember. At least nothing this tall. I get the impression that Grace Albanork was part of a search party trying to find Mikola. I think that would be reasonable. I think that would be. I think the big problem is that, like, we just see a bunch of the crawling carrion, so it's like, was that a bunch of people looking for Mikola who got killed in the attempt by the bloody fingers, like the noble, the sanguine noble we saw? Or is it supposed to be? Yeah, we see a lot of it just here, so probably compare Moog's feet to the Blood Fiend's feet. I don't know if that would make a fair comparison, because Moog is obviously very unique overall. So I don't know if any of his design similarities between them would ever have been intended. I'm not really seeing the same grass, at least here. Do we have a cut tree anywhere? No. Okay, no, yeah, we have it here. Okay. Like, this is the same little grass we were seeing earlier. Okay. So it does exist. So yeah, I don't think that's anything significant then regarding the trees. Unless we're going to say that all this grass somehow turns into a big giant ancient tree. Heading over here. Yeah, they got the little grasses here. Okay, cool. Okay, yeah. This stuff just grows down here. Good to know. Yeah, not seeing little trees, though. Maybe up in Knights or Ancestral Woods, whatever it's called. All right, let's move it there. Okay, there are some, like, at least cut ones, but they're not, like, as small as some of the ones we see in the Mogwin. Okay, yeah, this is just okay. Underground grass they're using, like, everywhere. Okay. Okay. Yeah, not really any of the trees that are as small as some of the ones we've been to before. Oh, that's cool. Let's see. Yeah, nothing here. Okay. Still not seeing it. Okay. Yeah, a lot of trees, but none of the really small ones that we were seeing. Oh, of course. This is why we can't have nice things. Never realized the actual flower life growing on these guys. There we go. I don't know what's up with the ancestor spirit remains that don't get used for a boss fight. Scrap third fight, alternate placement. I think they just wanted to have something there to show, like, you know, that's just like a general thing. It's not just like a random corpse for a boss. I think it was more so just for immersion, but who knows? It could be maybe. I feel like it'd be weird if there's like a third version of the spirit, because I don't even know if there's even two versions of it as is. But maybe they were playing around with like where to put it, and they said, well, you know, we'll just we won't remove the corpse for any of the alternatives. That's always a possibility. All right, so we go here. It's cool. You can get like a really cool back angle on this this gal. There we go. Reminding me how this is a skull, but then she just looks like kind of like zombified here, you know? This is an interesting design direction they went with this. Yeah, that'll do, I guess. All right. All right, so we got our little wannabe Night Lord done here. All the way over to our Crucible buddy. Oh, there's the spirit. There you are. Uh-huh. So hard to say if this particular one was ever going to go anywhere. Kind of just stops here. Obviously, a lot of damage here. So we don't know how far or if at any point it was going to work out like that. Obviously, a lot of bridge to gap too. Well, we get the general idea of how this stuff was going to roughly connect once upon a time. Now it's all collapsed. And then we go this way to get down, right? And like I said earlier, the statues are like right down there too. So yeah, okay. Granted, we don't know how much of this has been redirected because of the aqueduct here. Because obviously we already have water that goes here, so it's quite possible that this aspect of the river was never a thing before the Nox. All right. I love my random conifers right there. Right there. Inching up to Nokron. And then, yeah. Okay. There we are. Then we go all the way over here. Oh, you have the statue here too. Does the aqueduct and Caelid elevator remind anyone else of the Shadowkeep? Not especially, no. Not especially. And then we're back here, yeah. Then we got the poor destruction and stuff down there, and that's all disconnected here and all that. Hence why we have to take the long way around. Let's go down here for a quick sec. Oh, no, wrong quick sec. And we go here. Alright, so this is Ancient Dynasty stuff again. Oh, lovely smoke right there on the roads. For just a little. So we're under there right now. We have crabs feeding in this area, but that's about it. Oh, many trees and stuff flooding over here, which is not shocking. We clearly see that the water is going over its normal limits on where it would head and stuff like that. If I had to guess, probably because of the additional water that the Nox have redirected. Tree that's actually surviving for now. Yeah, this tells us it's relatively recent, much like with the deep. Ah! Sir. Wait, does it just wait wait to jump on you? Is that a thing? Hello, crab. Yeah, it does. Okay, it's actually triggered that way. Oh, I get it, because it's like slightly hidden and stuff like that. So if you're just like rushing by or whatever, you might miss it, and then you get it. Jump. Oh, okay, cool, good to know. Uh-huh. So we got our grasses, we got our brood, we got more of these goddamn butterflies. Holy mother of... Why are there so many? Who said you could have so many? There we go. Like, this is insane. There we go. All right, back to the Moog document while I'm like aghast at this. Like, holy hell, Arcane is right. Like, what gods spawn you, I wonder? I guess if we had the answer to that, we might have the answer to a lot of stuff about Miquella too. Yeah, so this is just her early life's very basic. You do not get to bark right now, doggo. You stay in there. Building the dynasty, yeah, they're pretty basic. The nobles, the knights, all this, all the simple stuff you need for a royal line. And then of course you need a spouse. So go get yourself a husband, Moog. Gets Miquella. Goes. Then the whole stuff gets hijacked, right? And then yeah, this. So this confirms, like, again, what I was saying earlier about the blood. Then the tarnish comes in, right? So yeah, yeah, so this seems to be the big idea, is that like he's recruiting a lot of tarnish and stuff, but I can't imagine it has to be related to his plans with Miquella, right? Because if he needs Omen blood, we're not giving him Omen blood, unless the idea, like, we're not seeing a lot of bloody fingers at the Omen places either, so it's not like, oh, we're hunting for Omen blood. So I guess the idea is like he's just recruiting tarnish for the dynasty, because why not? I wonder if there's like a specific method on how, because he's supposed to abduct all the military doctors. Like, did they just all come in a group and then like he brought it all together? Because it sounds like Vare at least had his own like individual thought process. And he's been around for a while because he's actually met the fingers and heard their words. Which is a little odd, right? Because apparently the fingers don't show themselves until you have the 2 runes, and that's only happened once before, which makes you wonder what runes were collected in the past by the round table. I suppose the idea is that Vare was probably just kind of like around at the round table for a bit. Then once the runes were collected and he met with the fingers, he was like, I'm not so sure, Chief. We also know for sure that well, I should say for sure, but we also are given the implication, the insinuation that Gideon was the one to collect the runes in the past. So I imagine one is Ranni, because like Gideon outright references the whole idea of Ranni being like, we assume that like, she just kind of gave it up. That kind of tells me that, yeah, they found the rune. They didn't really find like any attempt to really try to keep it or hold it together or whatever, or hide it or something. So it was just kind of like, okay, yeah, I guess we're just claiming this rune. The 2 figures only show themselves if someone gets 1 rune. Okay, yeah. But I mean, like, in terms of, we know that 2 runes were collected for the fingers because of Enya's words. But yeah. Okay, so the figures will show themselves for 1 rune. So basically, Vare could have stuck around until... Yeah, he could have stuck around for a relatively short time then, because he just needs to wait until they get the... Oh my god, 1 second, chat. Oh my goodness. I don't think she's gonna behave, but we'll give her a little bit. So yeah, we would have, so Vare, Vare could at the very least hear the, oh my god, doggo, no. Vare could at least hear the words of the 2 fingers, at least for a little bit. And then then 2 of the runes would have to be collected, which is like, okay, what's the other rune that was collected and from who or where? I guess there could be an argument that maybe there was just a spare great rune that nobody got at that was found. Though that's kind of a cop-out if you ask me. 1 second. All right. I don't expect her to behave, but we're giving her a chance. Sunny, here. Yeah, you. You get out of here. Hey, what did you... What are you doing? Okay, just more fluff. Okay. She is the master, just kind of shamelessly taking things without skipping a beat. It's truly a miracle. All right, doggo. Hey, Sunny, over here. Yeah, you over here. Sure, this is after one room might also be a recent rule, judging from the coded source description. Ooh, I haven't read that in a while, so I should probably look at that and stuff like that. Yeah, that's probably the next thing, would probably be organizing the tarnished stuffs, now that I've got like all the demigods outlined at least. Because it'd probably be helpful if I just have a better, stronger outline of like how did the original tarnished mission get. Because I'm assuming what happened was that like they got like Gideon basically took over. He was basically in charge of the operation. They got the double runes, and then Gideon goes in at least to the Erdtree and stuff. Has an encounter with quote-unquote Marika, right? Probably actually communicating with Radagon. You could argue maybe it doesn't really matter, but either way, gets the understanding about like, you know, what the truth or quote-unquote is, right? And then basically kind of reneges. I guess the question is, what would happen to the runes? Like, what happened to Ronnie's rune? What happened to the other rune that got collected? Like, were they destroyed? Is the idea that, like, they got rid of them? Were they returned to the Elden Ring, but they didn't do anything about it? Like, that's where I'm, like, a little fuzzy on. And then afterward, I guess the idea could be that, you know, rules could have changed and stuff with Gideon at any point there, but the general idea seems to be that like the round table just kind of fell apart as all the tarnished basically went their own direction or did their own thing. Now the question I have is then also, where does the stuff with Bernal and Vargrim fall into place? Is this because of what Gideon did, or were they doing that thing alongside it? Was like Gideon only actually operating afterwards? So like was Morgott already basically like cutting them out of the picture by this point? Because you have to get access to the tree and stuff, I would assume. No, because if the Ronnie's rune was already destroyed, then they wouldn't be, the fingers wouldn't be allowing them to use it to go anywhere in the first place. Like that would completely defeat the purpose. I think there would be a good case to say that Gideon or even Marika/Radagon or whatever would be the ones to destroy it, because that would be the idea with Radagon fighting us this time, right? Like he could use the hammer to destroy those great runes, like easy peasy, right? And then make it so that way if there's like obviously killing us, woo, gets rid of the person who could take over immediately, but like if he destroys all the great runes and shatters them, then there's not enough great runes to repair the Elden Ring. Then he can basically make it where, you know, nobody can win, quote unquote, right? So beating us would be a pretty big deal. Good feather in his cap, as it were, right? So let's see there. Having a great rune is still having a great rune? Not when it can't serve its function. Again, Miquella's Great Rune doesn't really have enough power for us to do anything with it. Certainly not repair the Elden Ring. No one's like, oh my god, you got Miquella's Great Rune. You can now use it to repair the ER. Like, no. Like, no, that's just not a thing. Hey. Hey, doggo, why are you barking more? What is going on with you? We go there. I don't think you can say that the two fingers are out of like that. Nah. Like that's a cop-out. That's a cop-out response. Oh, the fingers are out of it, really? Because otherwise they're being very consistent in what they're saying, what they're wanting, what they're doing, and now we're trying to say, oh, you know, they just were out of it, you know? So a destroyed rune, they just wouldn't notice. Like that sounds very much like, oh, okay, how convenient for you. How convenient. All right, now. So that leaves anything else? I guess Eleonora. Eleonora's thing seems pretty straightforward, right? Like she's she seems to have gotten into so well, one is she seems like a Western woman who learned from Yura and stuff like that, and they got close, and like Yura seems to have taught her how to use an Aginata, which she excelled at ridiculously because she's super good at swordplay and stuff. And she surpassed him. And I guess he was really wooed by that. And then they both were like kind of casually doing Dragon Communion. I don't know if Yura himself, because I've never really fought him, if he does Dragon Communion stuff at all, but Eleanor obviously does. So she's had experience, and she even wears the Drake stuff. So she's killed quite a few wyverns in her time. I guess the question would then be why she ends up embracing blood beyond maybe just having a bloodlust thing going for her. So she kind of turns into a Shura, essentially, maybe. I guess you could also make the case that what's the word? That she just kind of is like, you know, taken over by like Mohg's stuff because she gets the quote unquote like bad blood or whatever from him, right? But like I said, there's also the weird thing with the crystal tier. So like why is she at the Second Church America? Why does she got the crystal tier? Or even let's assume the crystal tier isn't even hers. Like she just gets in the area. Like why would you be at a Church America where your influence would potentially be allowing for a, you know, a tier that could be used against your faction? Like that's something that I'd be a little curious about. And then I guess there's also a question of when exactly Shabriri and Yura were in contact, because I think Yura mentions at some point that like he doesn't have a lot of time. So is that alluding to the idea that like he has to find Eleonora quickly because he's not going to be himself anymore? Like he's already made a deal with the devil, as it were. Because I don't think Yura ever does anything frenzy related before becoming Shabriri, right? And I also don't think he ever what's the word? I don't think he ever like alludes to like him losing himself at any point. Yura has no communion stuff. Okay, good to know. Eleanor was tasked with keeping the crystal tier far away. That doesn't really make much sense. If the idea was to keep it out of people's hands, why go in the outside world when you have your super secret home base that no one really seems to know about for the most part? Like that it would make more sense to just lock it in a chest somewhere. Like put it behind an illusory wall or something. Like why give it to one of your agents to bring out to the outside world so you can be potentially killed and have it taken, right? Like that just doesn't make much sense. Like, yeah, I'm really struggling to think of how that'd be like, oh yeah, that's the scenario, right? Like hell, even Godric, when he has the power of Godskin stuff, and he's potentially worried it could be used against him before he can use it against the demigods with, sorry, not God, yeah, Godskin with Black Flame and everything, right? Like, he still keeps it his base. He doesn't go, okay, soldier of Godric, I want you to take this and go hide out in the Cave of Knowledge somewhere, so that way no one could potentially find you, kill you, and take it from. It's like, no, he keeps it in his super secure, highly secure castle, and then just makes sure to put it in some bumfuck random corner most people aren't going to go to and behind a basic imp seal. Like that makes a lot more sense for security. Yeah, I'm just not buying that. All right, so looking at all of that, the only thing I'd really want to ask myself is, like, you know, the exact nature of Eleanor's motives at any point. She's definitely gets swayed by the blood, but I'm kind of curious the exact reasons that would be versus, say, Yura. It might just be more of the Shura stuff, because we also have like Okina and things like that, and the idea being she's a foreigner who doesn't have any concept of like the Shura or whatever, so she freely walks into it, while Yura, being a guy from the land of reeds, might be someone who's like more like aware of being like, no, the carnage is taking you over, you're becoming you know, like a monster and all that stuff. And then of course the game seems to to double down on this with like the Rakshasa and all that stuff. Which, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure the Rakshasa also uses like typical Western faces, doesn't use like a Land of Reeds look or whatever the equivalent is called in this game. I forget, like a Reed's face, I imagine, or something. Let's see. Let's see, anything else above ground for that? I mean, there's Vare at the Rose Church. Vare in general. Yeah, like there's the stuff in Limgrave, but like again, we've got that's been covered. Yeah, there's not a. Oh, actually, I can think of up here, right? With Rife Blood, right? So idea seems to be that I don't know if the village necessarily converted, but the idea seems to be that we have attacks happening on the road and stuff with our friendly neighborhood people, and they end up massacring this village, tracing down the problems, of course, to them. But of course, they didn't get they didn't actually clear out the Blood Noble guy. So it was all for naught. So they're like searching for more of these like rebels and stuff like that in the reaches around here while they're trying to resecure the supply lines. But the reality is that they're not going to be able to well, I shouldn't say that. They probably are going to be able to now bring the stuff to Gelmir now, because there just aren't a lot, there aren't the manpower or whatever, right? It's now basically one guy and a bunch of his like undead little meat piles, right? So that stuff's not that weird. There's also a lot of this, which is interesting, because correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we get anything related to Trina or anything here, right? So the idea is that the noble is interested in this place because it's connected to Miquella. Like Miquella was here for one reason or another in the past. Or alternatively, the idea would be, oh, you know what? Oh, you know what? That makes sense though now. Because one of the questions would be, why was Miquella bleeding when he's going around places? But now that we have the context of Ansbach, yeah, Ansbach was the one who quote unquote tore Miquella to pieces. So like Miquella was like really screwed up when Ansbach tried to stop him from taking over Moog and stuff, right? So yeah. So when Miquella starts appearing out here afterwards, then yeah, it makes sense if he ends up being like this. I guess the only question then would be like, the Realm of Shadow that we see with the picture of Miquella and stuff like that. It doesn't look like Miquella is suffering any serious injury. So why would he seem to be fine there? But he'd be having injured outside. But it could be something like, like he's got like a smaller injury when he's going through like the Dreamlands and stuff. So it's not like this giant, like, it's not like he's actually split in two or something. I guess you could also make the case that by the time he actually enters the Realm of Shadow and all that stuff, he could have healed himself already, and like all the stuff he does going around is like as he's waiting, like he's like, when he's trying to find the Realm of Shadow in the meantime type of thing. Let's see. My take on Magnus the Beast Claw is that he was a survivor of the recent attacks, and that's why Vare wants him killed. I feel like Vare's bigger issue would be that Magnus is too base for him. Like, I could be wrong there, but like they make a big deal about how Vare is kind of snooty. Like, like he's got this very over the top, extravagant language that the game likes to highlight, and he likes to call you like low grade and things like that, like just kind of like, like you're not like you're not on his level, right? So I could see the idea that Magnus is just not his idea of who should be serving Moog, right? Or like we're like his personal pet project, right? So the game maybe have a justification if we pick like class or whatever, like a barbarian or something like that. But that's like my first thought looking at this. But I like maybe if the issue was like Magnus was like a traitor, maybe I don't know, it'd be very weird for me if the idea was like Magnus survived and therefore we have to kill him. Like that's not squaring in my head. Like Sanguine Noble seems to be doing just fine. If anything, everyone getting slaughtered might be a setback, right? I guess the question though is like, what has the noble been trying to accomplish, right? Because if the idea is like you have a bunch of like converts, rebels, or whatever, interrupting or taking, oh, I guess they're trying to. They could just be trying to loot the bodies and stuff from the coffin carriages, right? Like they could just want to take the blood and stuff. I guess that could be the simple idea. There we go. Yeah, I guess that could be it. There's the other coffin carriage that fell all the way down, right? Like, where are you? Where are you, asshole? Oh, right. Okay. I was going crazy for a second. Wait. You know, that's Owl Boy. I never knew there was Vulgar Militia over here. Is this like the only guy? Because they have the Vulgar Militia over there. I guess these are. I guess that makes sense because you have more of the more of our favorite Royal Revenant people. And if you have two of them that serve in with a Royal Revenant guy over there, then the same thing would be true over here potentially. But yeah, I don't remember seeing this one guy. Obviously, I've never been up here. Another nascent butterfly, of course. Of course, of course. You're gonna drive me crazy with those things. To re-say an earlier thing you might have missed, in my opinion, Sanguine Nobles massacred this place instead of the Slimes being his former allies. Yeah, I disagree with that. I disagree with that vehemently. Just based on what we've seen with the larger area stuff. Oh, well, can't survive that fall. Okay, cool. Did not know we had a Vulgar Militia guy up here. He's all by his lonesome. That's neat. There was no, I didn't see the coffin though. I'm pretty sure it exists though. There's like a half-buried coffin here at the bottom. My memory may be failing me there, but we shall see. Yeah, we got the noble guys, like they're there. Okay, and then we got you. We got the trolls who bring our guys down. Yeah, with their chains and all that. Oh, I guess I am crazy. I could have swore there was a coffin carriage half buried here, but I guess not. So you got the two trolls. I must be misremembering it for the other one that you can find with the Berserker guy further up. There we go. Ah. There we go. There's also a single slave commoner with a spear in the entire game at the lake near the Sage's Cave. Slave commoner? Are we talking about just like commoner? Oh, yeah, I think you mean like the conscripted commoner guys, right? So, yeah, I do remember a guy sitting there by the lake in front of the Perfumer ruins. Yeah. Then we got these guys. And then back here, yeah, okay. Okay. Okay, okay. Yeah, so he's the only one with a spear in the game, huh? Yeah, that would make sense, because I'm pretty sure the ones we encounter in Gelmir, well, one, I think they're all naked, but I'm pretty sure most of them have like touch poles, torch poles or something. What's that? I don't even want to know what a touch pole would be. Yeah, here we are, buddy. And more of these goddamn fucking butterflies. Just kind of chilling. That's the one non-frenzied commoner with a spear. Are you telling me that we have frenzied commoners with spears? I remember frenzied guys maybe doing arts. I don't remember weapons though for them. It would be weird though if they had swords in my brain though. So also, at least it doesn't make sense to me why you'd give them torches when they already got the frenzy, right? So yeah, I guess spears would make sense for them. You read in a vid by a guy named Slurry Geyser. What an interesting pseudonym. But cool. I'm glad there's still like, you know, really obscure and like, you know, obscure little details like that getting talked about. Yeah, there's a lot more coffin carriages here than where I was looking. All right, so I think that covers most of like, you know, the Moog stuff that I'd be thinking about, right? Like there really isn't that much, thank God, with Moog, just because he is, well, one, because a lot of his narrative gets eaten up by Mikkel, I feel, but I think in general, like as far as factions are concerned, how much is this? Yeah, like again, cut out this stuff. This doesn't really count. It's really like not even 9 pages of content here, which means it would probably be like a 12-pager, I feel. I don't know, maybe I'm underestimating. Maybe there'll be a lot to talk about with Moog. But like I feel like this would be pretty straightforward, all things considered. Like really just, you know, guys like, you know, guys kind of like a good little fundamentalist omen. As you know, tries to be like obedient little prisoner guy, you know, cuts off his own horns even, ends up encountering, of course, Formless Blood Mother, ends up falling in love with it, becomes like, you know, obsessively fanatical for Formless Mother. Then when like Great Runes and stuff and all that's happening, takes the runes to establish his own new dynasty to be separate from everything with Marika and the Erd Tree and all that stuff. Starts like doing all this stuff kind of like in hiding and lives like a low-key cult thing, attracting, I guess, like, you know, either really fanatical types or you know, really opportunistic types. So yeah, they get the crazy psychos or the dudes who are like kind of just like in it because they got nowhere else to go to raise the ranks, you know, rise through the ranks, I should say. And then yeah, his big plan requires him to have a new god. They'll be separate from Marika for his plan, so he goes and kidnaps Miquella. Probably because Miquella is the most easily available, because Malenia is obviously a tough fighter. Ronnie's missing, so Miquella is the obvious candidate. With the Shattering broken out, kidnaps Miquella, gets brainwashed by Miquella, decides he's going to help Miquella with the cocoon stuff so he can find the Realm of Shadow or whatever, so that way they can start the new dynasty afterward. Ansbach tries to stop him, does injuries to Miquella, but doesn't actually get to accomplish the goal, gets brainwashed himself. Moog basically then spends the rest of, you know, everything after recruiting Tarnished and stuff while trying to help Miquella. Sometime after recruiting Vare, he ends up basically, quote-unquote, sleeping with Miquella, right? Actually, I don't even know if he necessarily sleeps with him. We don't really get confirmation there, but he's clearly, you know, staying in the quote-unquote bedroom with Miquella. And then from there, yeah, we basically just wait until the boss fight and then we kill him. So there's not really a lot there. Like most of the Moog lore would be the ancillary stuff with the other characters, like Escor or whatever his name is. So like there'd be the Omen thing, there'd be the Eleonora thing, there would be the Vare thing, of course. Vare the doctors. And then there would be, I know I'm forgetting one more. Where is it? Let me look. Let's look over here. Yeah, we have Ansbach and stuff. I'm forgetting one of them. Oh, Okina. Yeah, of course. How could I forget? How could I forget our favorite samurai? So, like, yeah, most of that would be there. I'd probably just include them in there because, like, it would be kind of sad if Moog is the only one that doesn't get to be a thesis because he's like, it's like, yeah, he's kind of just like a crazy dude. He's kind of like a crazy guy with his underground cult thing, doing underground cult stuff. Still not worthy of the files either. That's the best part. The pelvis holding up the cocoon and bringing Miquella blood gave me the impression that Moog was trying to copy the Haligtree cocoon himself. I don't think he's trying to copy. Well, okay, here's the thing. I think I don't think it's necessarily Moog is trying to copy it so much as he's doing what Miquella wants, and Miquella is using the cocoon as a medium to dream sleep his way to places. So I think the idea was like when he was at the Haligtree, he was obviously doing that to like, you know, sync up his Haligtree with like his like dreamland stuff that he was doing with Trina. But then he gets abducted, and because he's now suspicious stuff and he sees an opportunity with Moog, he's now using Moog and Moog's blood and Omen blood in general that like Moog may be collecting on their behalf to help Miquella get to the realm of shadow, and that's why the cocoon exists with the whole blood and stuff. There is actually something interesting also with the idea that you point out, like the idea that Miquella's using blood in order to quote unquote like water seeds for things in order to cause them to blossom. I don't know how far we can really go for that before we enter like schizo territory and it's not no longer intentional from the devs, but I do wonder if there was this idea of like, you know, kind of analogizing Miquella with like, you know, germinating you know, blooms with blood instead of water, and like the general idea that like Miquella is like essentially trying to what's the word, not really like create a new bloodline, right, but like kind of like rejuvenate his bloodline or other people's bloodline or something like that. Obviously that goes out the window once he discovers how cursed his bloodline is and he decides he's going to reject it all. I don't think he uses blood though in the final stuff with Radahn either. So if it is intentional, they'd also have to be like completely rejecting the idea for like the new and improved Miquella that we get in the DLC. He don't need no gold. He'll just create a world of pure light, pure kind light that will nuke you. Again, I don't think the realm of shadow was Miquella's intention originally, based on everything we have and know about what. And again, it just becomes really weird where it's like, okay, he needed to use Moog in order to finally get to the realm of shadow and all that stuff, but he's been trying all this time even without him. Again, like I just don't think that works. And I've talked before about the problems of trying to make it where like, oh no, Miquella wanted to get abducted in the most inconvenient and stupid way possible. Anyway, I think that covers all the stuff for Moog. I've also finished the first draft on orders breaking and stuff like that, so that's cool. Still inching my way through Loran as well. Yeah, I think the outline for that one is pretty good. It's just like writing it all out, and it's like, okay, this is going to be a little bit of a pain. I think Loran is going to be the most boring of the. I should say that it's not that Loran is boring so much, you know, among the dungeon areas, so much as that like it has a very obvious thematic purpose, right? It's not something where it's like I didn't necessarily need Loran for this narrative with Bloodborne, right? Like I don't need like the proto Yharnam to foreshadow Yharnam, as it were. Like it's nice to have it, but like it's not like as necessary as I would argue maybe Is or Tumuru is. So it does create like this little kind of like, you know, like not the most interesting it could be. Suki, most interesting these things could be. Always gonna. I don't remember if I took shots of this already, so we're gonna make sure we take them here. There we go. There we go. Perfect. There we go. I always love my hawk chairs. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, so stuff's coming along and stuff like that, and now I've got all these outlines in the back burner in case, you know, it ever hits me where it's like, oh, let's just pump this out for Rykard or Moog or whoever. I feel like the only one I'm not going to be like doing for like any, oh god, you know, last time I said this it became God Hunts, but I feel like Ronnie's going to be the one that's going to be on the back seat. Like I feel like even Miquella will get done before Ronnie. Because at least there's a bunch of stuff I'd be interested in with covering with Miquella. I really have zero interest in covering any of the stuff with Ronnie. Like, I think Ronnie is the character that probably, like, has been done to death the most, and most people, like, have a decent idea about it, gets so much attention in the story, and they basically, like, tell you, like, everything. They spell it out for you, so it's like, I just don't know how much more I would really want to basically be retreading that ground to maybe find something, like one or two scraps that might be worth adding. So yeah, I don't know about that one. Oh boy. Yeah, and then there's probably Shattering and Morgott I would love to cover the most out of all the topics. Like I said, Rykard is like, starting to like creep up there for me. But I think Morgott and the Shattering would still win for me. Just because I really like Morgott, and I think that there's a lot about Morgott's early life especially that'd be worth like dissecting. And then I feel like probably the most boring part would just be talking about the Shattering itself, ironically, because like, one, all the good detailed stuff we're keeping for the individual demigods, so this would be a very basic overview of stuff. And like, yeah, I don't know if, oh, you know what I could do? I could see myself moving some of the Morgott stuff at Stormveil to the Shattering, just because I'd want to make Godric shorter. But I don't know if I can actually extricate that stuff, because it would be really, I can see it being really awkward with just like talking about like so much about like Stormveil and stuff, but not being able to get too detailed into why Morgott would be there and things like that at that point. And that, like, I feel like there's a lot of stuff that would end up being on the cutting room floor there. Yeah, probably. Okay. Okay, so I think like, you know, thoughts wise and stuff, like we have so much stuff in the oven right now, like so much stuff is cooking. I hope I don't burn any of it, but it's happening. And then the biggest problem is like trying to figure out what we're gonna do on the streaming side, because I want to finish up Trails. I want to get back to catch up to HSR, especially with the new planet dropping. But oh my god, this dog is just taking up all my time. You guys saw earlier, like I thought I had it saved to stream, and then she started acting up a lot. Now she's calmed down again, but like, oh my goodness. Like she can just be so random with letting up. I don't know if I could, I don't know. I also don't know how I feel about like just having her basically ignored for 5 hours straight when she might want to, you know, either go out or play some more and stuff like that. I'm like, So we'll have to see about that one. So we got that there. Yeah, that'd probably be the thing. So I don't know if we'll be able to do long streams anytime soon. I'll try to find a way to make it work. But until like I get this dog to like, you know, chill out and trained, and let's be honest, she's a puppy. She's gonna be like this for a few years. Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna be possible. Oh well, that's another challenge for me to figure out. Not for you guys to worry about. Let the dog stream. Just put the dog. Just get one of those doggy stream cameras. Hey, you never know. I might even buy myself a shock collar just to complete the whole streamer setup, you know? All right, guys. I think we're going to end things here for the time being. Moog is a very simple character, thankfully. I appreciate his simplicity. We have enough like really like detailed demigods with like huge factions and stuff to keep track of. It's nice when it's just like, oh, you know, just the crazy guy who sends out the invaders. If we go, like, I think I want to plan out my next big Elden Ring stream if possible, in terms of like just what I want to screenshot and things like that, because we are really at the point now where like I am I'm going for scraps on finding stuff, so I think we'll worry about it then. I think we're gonna be like, okay, we plan it all out, we get like a big thing going, and then we can just go get screenshots, get screenshots, get screenshots. Because it's nice being able to sit and kind of just like casually chat and stuff like you with you guys. But this is you know, I miss having the more productive streams where like I actually get like a lot more done in terms of at least visual elements and things. But hey, at least I've helped some of the analysis by like, you know, going through it in my own head with you all. Topical joke. Quick question before stream ends. You said a little bit ago that Radagon could have destroyed the previous 2 Great Runes. Why would Radagon want Great Runes destroyed if used by him? I was just throwing out that example, but like if we're going with the idea that Radagon is the one that wants to essentially have the Tarnished pointlessly fighting forever without any end in sight and stuff like that, then you know, destroying the Great Runes would be to that end, because if the Great Runes are smashed up by him and his hammer, and the Tarnished run out of runes with which to mend the Elden Ring, then Radagon basically gets exactly what he wants. Now the question would be, why would Radagon would want that, right? And the first thing that would pop in my mind is that Radagon sees it as an opportunity, because if the Two Fingers and presumably, or the Greater Will or whatever, see that the Tarnished are all incapable of doing it, much like the demigods, then Radagon might see that as his chance where he can get back in the good graces, quote unquote, of all the interested parties and be able to essentially return to power and stuff like that, where he's the one who gets to become Elden Lord again, with Marika still remaining prisoned, instead of him essentially being stuck as the mutual prisoner here with her. I could see that being his MO. There's also the possibility that he would just be resentful and he would just be like, nah, I'm gonna screw you guys all. If I'm not gonna get what I'm not, you're not, none of you are either, right? But to give like Radagon a little bit of credit in saying like he might have some like end game planned here. But again, I don't know, I haven't thought that stuff on the Marika, like, you know, what is Marika's plan in all this, what is Radagon's plan in all this and stuff like that. I'm not gonna pretend that I have like, you know, a complete what's the word, grasp on that stuff right now. Anyway, gonna end things here now. Bye bye.